There are those who move through life gently, deliberately, carrying an invisible boundary that others rarely understand. They avoid socializing, not out of fear, not out of hatred, but from a deep, almost instinctive awareness of their own inner world. To them, the hum of conversation, the pressure to perform, the invisible expectation of engagement, all of it feels heavy, intrusive, almost dangerous to the fragile equilibrium they have cultivated within. In a world that celebrates visibility, connection, and constant interaction, they choose absence. They choose silence. And in that silence, they discover clarity, depth, and an unspoken freedom. Psychologically, those who shy away from socializing are often highly aware. They perceive nuances others miss, the subtle shifts in tone, the hidden tension behind a smile, the unspoken emotions that ripple beneath polite conversation. Social gatherings, while energizing for some, become a labyrinth of mental noise for them. Every interaction demands calibration. Every gesture, word, and glance must be interpreted, processed, and responded to. For minds attuned to subtlety, this constant demand can feel suffocating. Avoidance is not avoidance of humanity, it is preservation. They understand that energy is finite, that attention is precious, and that their inner world cannot thrive amidst perpetual stimulation. Solitude is their refuge, their laboratory, and their sanctuary. It allows thought to stretch, emotion to settle, and consciousness to awaken. There is also an element of discernment in this choice. Not everyone deserves your time, your presence, or your energy. Those who avoid socializing often recognize the shallow currents beneath social interaction, the performative laughter, the small talk that masks insecurity, the invisible pressure to conform. They do not reject people wholesale. They reject the unnecessary. They are selective in their attention, careful in their engagement, and deliberate in their presence. Yet this selectivity comes at a cost. Loneliness is often a shadow companion, whispering doubt and isolation. Society misunderstands them, labels them, and sometimes even fears them. And yet they endure quietly, embracing solitude as a path towards self-knowledge and inner peace. Those who avoid socializing are also often reflective thinkers. They observe, analyze, and learn from the world without participating in its noise. Their minds are active, constantly processing, synthesizing, and connecting threads that others overlook. In social absence, they find perspective. In distance, clarity. In silence, insight. Their intelligence is not loud, but it is deep. Their wisdom is not broadcast, but it is profound. Avoidance does not equal weakness. It is resilience. It is a conscious choice to preserve mental, emotional, and spiritual energy. It is the understanding that one cannot pour from an empty cup, that presence is meaningful only when deliberate, and that connection is valuable only when authentic. There is also a subtle courage in this behavior. To resist social pressure, to decline invitations, to stand apart from the tide of expectation, requires self-trust. The world is loud, insistent, demanding attention, and those who avoid socializing resist this pull. They choose alignment over acceptance, depth over popularity, and inner truth over outward validation. Their lives may seem quiet, their presence muted, yet there is a hidden power in this choice. They move through life on their own terms, guided by awareness rather than convention, by reflection rather than performance. In the absence of social noise, they cultivate a mind that sees clearly, feels deeply, and lives deliberately. Ultimately, the psychology of people who avoid socializing is the psychology of the conscious, the discerning, and the awake. They remind us that not all absence is emptiness, not all silence is weakness, And not all avoidance is fear. Some of us walk lightly through the crowd, choosing observation over participation, reflection over performance, and clarity over chaos. In their quiet, we find a lesson. That peace is more precious than popularity. Insight is rarer than attention, and the mind that cultivates solitude often sees farther than the crowd ever will. The comfort of internal worlds over external chaos. For those who avoid socializing, the external world often feels overwhelming. Crowds, chatter, and constant interaction are not merely tiring. They are intrusive. Every stimulus demands attention. Every expectation requires compliance, and every interaction risks dilution of the self. In contrast, the internal world offers a kind of sanctuary, a realm of thought, imagination, and reflection that is fully under their control. Here they can explore ideas without judgment, process emotions without interference, and inhabit a space where time and attention belong solely to them. Within this internal sanctuary, they cultivate richness that is invisible to the outside observer. Memories, insights, and observations are examined, connected, and stored with care. They engage with life in a measured, deliberate way, savoring depth rather than breadth. Social gatherings, in contrast, demand superficial engagement, small talk, performative humor, and fleeting connections. To the conscious mind, these rituals feel hollow, even exhausting. The choice to step away is not rejection of humanity, but a conscious alignment with what nourishes the mind and spirit. This preference for solitude also enhances creativity and problem-solving. Freed from the constant pull of external demands, the mind can wander into unexpected territories. Patterns emerge where others see chaos. Solutions arise in silence. Understanding deepens in ways that are impossible in the relentless noise of social performance. Avoiding socializing is, in essence, a protective strategy, a way to preserve cognitive and emotional resources for pursuits that truly matter. And yet this choice carries an unspoken poetry. In their absence from the crowd, they exist as observers of life's currents, noticing what others miss, understanding what others ignore. Their silence is not emptiness. It is a lens, a perspective, a quiet power that allows them to see both the fragility and the beauty of the human experience. While society rewards visibility, they find fulfillment in presence of a different kind, the presence of awareness, depth, and deliberate engagement with the self. The freedom found in emotional independence. Those who avoid socializing often cultivate a rare kind of emotional independence. In a world where human connection is assumed to be the measure of fulfillment, they derive satisfaction and meaning from within. They do not rely on validation from others to affirm their worth. They do not bend their emotions to accommodate external expectations. Each feeling, each thought, each quiet observation is experienced fully and privately, without compromise. This independence allows them to navigate life with clarity and resilience. While others may be swayed by collective moods, peer pressure, or the subtle currents of social influence, they remain grounded in their own perception of reality. The emotional storms of the crowd, jealousy, gossip, fleeting enthusiasm, cannot easily penetrate their inner stillness. In this way, their avoidance of socializing becomes a shield, preserving the integrity of thought and the purity of feeling. Moreover, this emotional autonomy nurtures a profound self-awareness. They spend time reflecting on their responses, desires, and fears, analyzing not to criticize, but to understand. The lessons they draw are not borrowed from others. They emerge from direct engagement with their inner world. And in this quiet introspection, they develop a resilience and depth that is often invisible to the social majority. yet immensely powerful. Ironically, while society often labels them as antisocial or lonely, they experience a freedom that the constantly social cannot comprehend. Their satisfaction does not come from applause or attention, but from the quiet alignment between thought, emotion, and action. They are, in a sense, untethered, free to explore life at their own pace, guided not by obligation, but by deliberate presence and insight. In avoiding the noise of social interaction, they preserve not only energy, but also the richness of their inner lives. Their solitude is not a void. It is a carefully curated space where intellect, creativity, and emotional depth can flourish. They have learned that true connection, whether with ideas, nature, or self, does not require crowds. It requires attention, awareness, and the courage to exist authentically in quiet reflection.